This is ChainMind, the decentralized AI network built for everyone. Just search ChainMind on Google, sign up, download the app, and you're in. That's it. You've joined the network. Run it on any device, phone, laptop, or server. Why ChainMind? Fully decentralized, fully yours.
Imagine a world where every line of code you write feels like a step forward, not a step back into a maze of dollar fees and currency conversions. Picture yourself building the next breakthrough AI-powered app in Legos, and the only thing you have to worry about is the user experience, not the hidden cost of every API call. That vision is no longer a distant dream. It's happening right now, and it's called ChainMind. In the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through why the traditional AI API model is holding Nigerian developers hostage, how ChainMind flips that script, what real-world benefits you can start seeing today, and why the biggest mistake you can make is to keep paying in dollars when a better local solution already exists. First, let's unpack the problem that most of us have been living with for years. When you sign up for a popular AI service, think OpenAI, Anthropic, or any of the big cloud providers, the pricing is always quoted in US dollars. For a developer in Nigeria, that means every token you generate is multiplied by the current exchange rate, plus the fees that banks and payment processors slap on top. One day you might be paying 460 Naira to the dollar, the next day 520, and somewhere in between you're also paying a 1 to 2% processing fee for each transaction. If you're building a chatbot that processes 10,000 messages a day, each message costing just $0.002, you're looking at roughly $20 a day in raw usage. Convert that to Naira, factor in a 5% processing fee, and you're suddenly paying close to 10,000 Naira every single day. That's money that could have gone into hiring a junior developer, buying a server, or marketing your product. But the cost isn't just financial. The lack of transparency is a silent drain on creativity. You can't see exactly where every cent goes, you can't predict the next month's bill because the exchange rate might swing wildly, and you're forced to build contingency layers into your product just to absorb those shocks. Many of us have built clever caching strategies, limited token usage, or even resorted to using older, less capable models just to keep the numbers manageable. In the process, we sacrifice performance, user satisfaction, and ultimately, the chance to compete on a global stage. Now imagine a different model. ChainMind is Africa's first decentralized AI inference network, and it was built from the ground up with developers like you in mind. Instead of a centralized cloud service that bills you in dollars, ChainMind runs on a distributed network of nodes that you can contribute to, and it charges you in Naira. The pricing is fixed, transparent, and free from the volatility of foreign exchange markets. No more watching the central bank's daily rate like a stock ticker, no more surprise fees when your payment gateway decides to levy a new surcharge. You simply pay a flat rate per token, denominated in the currency you live and work in. What does that look like in practice? Let's say you're building an agricultural advisory platform for smallholder farmers in Kaduna. Your app asks a language model to interpret a farmer's description of pest damage and return a tailored treatment plan. Each request might use 150 tokens, and you expect 5,000 requests per day during the planting season. With a traditional API, you'd be looking at roughly $15 per day in raw usage, plus the exchange rate conversion and processing fees, potentially 7,500 to 9,000 Naira. With ChainMind, you pay a flat Naira rate, say 0.05 Naira per token. That brings your daily cost down to 375 Naira, a difference of over 90%. Those savings can be reinvested in expanding coverage to more villages, adding offline capabilities, or even subsidizing the service for the poorest farmers. The second advantage that often goes unnoticed is the OpenAI-compatible API. ChainMind deliberately mirrors the OpenAI endpoint structure, request formats, and response schemas. That means you don't have to rewrite your integration code, you don't have to retrain your team on a new SDK, and you can swap the backend with a single line change in your configuration file. For a startup that's already sprinting to market, that kind of drop in compatibility is a lifeline. You get the same powerful language models, many of them open source variants that have been fine-tuned for specific domains, while paying in a currency that makes sense for your balance sheet. But the story doesn't end at cheaper, more predictable pricing. ChainMind is built on a decentralized network of nodes, and that opens up a whole new revenue stream for developers. By running the ChainMind node software on your local machines, you can volunteer your spare compute cycles to process AI inference jobs for the network. In return, you earn IQ tokens, the native utility token of the platform. Those tokens can be staked to earn additional yields, used to pay for higher priority API calls, or even traded on compatible exchanges. It's a virtuous cycle. The more you contribute, the stronger the network becomes, and the more you benefit from its growth. Consider a concrete example. A fintech startup in Abuja needed to run fraud detection models on transaction data in near real time. They set up a modest server farm in their office, installed the ChainMind node client, and allocated 20% of their idle CPU cycles to the network. Over a month, they processed roughly 200,000 inference jobs for other developers, earning enough IQ tokens to cover 40% of their own API usage costs. In effect, they turned a portion of their existing infrastructure into a profit center, while also contributing to a more resilient AI ecosystem that isn't reliant on a single cloud provider. Now, here's the part most people get wrong. Many assume that decentralization means slower performance or lower quality models. That's simply not the case with ChainMind. The network is designed to route inference jobs to the node that can deliver the fastest response, taking into account latency, compute capacity, and model availability. In practice, users in West Africa often see response times that match or even beat those of traditional cloud APIs, because the nearest node may be physically closer than a data center halfway across the world. Moreover, the open-source LLMs that power ChainMind are continuously being improved by a global community of researchers. You can choose from a spectrum of models, some optimized for speed, others for depth of reasoning, without ever leaving the same API endpoint. Let's walk through a day in the life of a developer who has made the switch. Aisha runs a language learning app that generates personalized practice sentences for users based on their proficiency level. Yesterday, using a conventional API, she hit a rate limit after 3,000 requests, and each extra request cost her an additional $0.0015. She had to implement a queuing system that added latency for her users. Today, with ChainMind, she has a higher daily quota because the pricing model is not tied to arbitrary dollar caps, and the network automatically scales her requests across multiple nodes in Lagos and Abuja. Her users now receive instant sentence generation, and Aisha's operational costs have dropped by 70%. She also earns a modest amount of IQ tokens each night as her idle server processes background jobs for the network. In her own words, "I finally feel like the platform is working for me, not the other way around." So far we've covered the pain of dollar fees, the transparent Naira pricing, the seamless OpenAI compatibility, the revenue potential from running nodes, and the real-world performance gains. Let's bring it all together with a broader perspective on why this matters for the African tech ecosystem. When developers are shackled by foreign exchange volatility and hidden fees, they are forced to allocate a disproportionate share of their budget to Financial overhead. That means fewer resources for hiring talent, for user research, for marketing, and ultimately for scaling. By eliminating the dollar barrier, ChainMind frees up capital that can be redirected toward building products that solve local problems, whether it's healthcare triage, agricultural advice, or financial inclusion. It also democratizes access to cutting-edge AI. A small startup in Port Harcourt can now experiment with the same language models that a Silicon Valley unicorn uses, without needing a venture-backed war chest. But there's an even deeper shift happening. The move from a centralized, profit-driven AI model to a community-owned, incentive-aligned network. When you run a node and earn IQ tokens, you become a stakeholder in the health of the system. When the network grows, the token value can appreciate, creating a shared prosperity that isn't captured by a single corporation. This is the kind of economic model that can power a new wave of African innovation, where the tools you use to build are also part of the wealth you generate. If you're still on the fence, ask yourself this: how much have dollar fees cost you in the last 6 months? How many hours have you spent building workarounds for exchange rate spikes? How many potential users have you turned away because your pricing model was too volatile? The answers are probably bigger than you'd like to admit. And the solution is already here, waiting for you to plug in. The next step is simple. Head over to the ChainMind website, sign up for a free API key, and start testing the Naira-priced endpoints with the same code you used for OpenAI. Deploy a node on a spare Raspberry Pi or an idle cloud instance. Follow the quick start guide, and watch your IQ token balance grow as you contribute. Compute power. Join the Discord community, share your experiences, and learn from other Nigerian developers who have already made the switch. Every new node you add strengthens the network, and every request you run through ChainMind helps prove that a decentralized AI future is not just possible, it's already happening on the ground in Lagos, Abuja, and beyond. Remember, the choice isn't just about saving a few hundred naira a month. It's about taking control of your development costs, reclaiming transparency, and becoming part of a movement that reshapes how AI is delivered across the continent. The era of paying in dollars for AI services is ending, and the era of decentralized, locally priced inference is beginning. Don't let your next project be the one that stays stuck in the old model. So, if you're ready to ditch the dollar fees, to build faster, cheaper, and more sustainably, click the link below, grab your ChainMind API key, and start your journey toward a dollar-free AI future today. Subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into decentralized tech, hit the notification bell so you never miss an update, and join the growing community of Nigerian developers who are redefining what's possible with AI. The network is waiting. Let's build the future together.